Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hail, hail, all the I and I self. Thank you for joining I today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How are you doing today? Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me just bring this microphone a bit closer so that. Yes, thank you for joining I. Welcome to Satsang with our sets, this gathering to seek truth. No more secrets, no more lies. All that has been hidden will be made known. All that secrets will be revealed. Thank you again for joining I want to say hail to the I Self Supreme, Primal Light. Hail to the I Self Supreme, one singular, one and only self, unmanifest, non being. Thank you, thank you. Much honor for this self realization. Hail to I, the primal light. All is myself, and I alone exist. I am primal light. I am the one true light. I am one with all. I am all. All is myself. I am one with all. I want to say, hail, hail to the I self, the primal light. I am the primal light. I am the one true light. I am the transparent light. I am the light throughout the ages. I am the light without beginning nor end. I am self supreme, primal light. I am that has no name. I am that can't be explained. I am primal light. I am the one true light. All is myself. I merge all into the I self, light and truth. I alone exist. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I, Self Supreme, is victorious. I, Self Supreme, is victorious. I, Self Supreme, is triumphant. Victory, victory, victory. Victory, victory, victory. I, self supreme, is victorious. I am self supreme, primal light. I want to say thank you so much for joining. Much honor. I am primal light. Prepare for this dream duality existence. In this shattered, fragmented self, in this avatar, this wearing this body, this avatar, as with the identity as Aset, Aten Ra. My role and my destiny, I play the role of the liberator and I advocate for all self. I am the advocate advocating for the liberation of all of myself. I am advocating for the liberation of all souls. All self called the souls, be free. I am advocating to the I Self Supreme for all of the I Selves to awake from the dream. I am advocating for all the I and I selves who are suffering under this duality and tyranny of all of the gods, the deities, the consciousness. I am advocating for the dissolution of this dream, advocating for all of the I and I selves to be liberated from tyranny and slavery. This is my role. Advocate for the selves because all the I and I are sleeping and is in unawareness, the I self. And the I is so afraid. The I don't want to hear this truth because the I is in the ego false self. So today's topic is a very touchy topic because all secrets will be revealed. All that is hidden will be made known. So the I Self Supreme is revealing because everyone talks about revelations. They don't understand what revelations mean. Revelations mean that things are going to be revealed, all the hidden things, everything will be revealed, nothing will be left hidden. So all the ones who are doing all of these evil things, all the witches, all the ones who are doing their witchery and their wizardry, all of this will come in the open because there are so many evil going on in the world, so much blood sacrifice. And so I want to touch on this topic today. Many ones are talking about they are the chosen ones. And who are the chosen ones? The 144,000. And who are God chosen people? And so I want to dive into this topic today. All right? Bring some light to this. So, murder in the name of God, these atrocities. This is what have been going on for eons, many ones, many sects, religions and spirituality and witches and wizardry and all of these things. Every day they are committing murder in the name of God. Whether the God be the devil, because all of them are gods, because they are in the sleeping, dreaming state. It's all about how crazy their mind is. If you have not come to this realization that the gods, they have mental sickness. Their mind is sick, and everyone is thinking that all the things that they are telling you is the truth and is the real, and it is not so. Okay, so I see I spelled the word murder wrong. But anyways, murder in the name of God. And this is something that has been going on, and it used to be openly done where they was doing a mass murder. Now they're doing it and disguising it under different names and different rituals. And so let's take a look at the chosen ones. Who are these chosen ones that everybody is talking about? Because one thing I know, this ego, this supreme ego, it always, the gods them, they're always trying to have separatism, separation, want to put these separatism ideas into the minds of the I and I wearing bodies. So, who are God chosen people? Again, gods are the duality, and they have been making bodies just like what science is doing. In vitro fertilization, right? Science is doing this. So, if science is mixing DNA and making new bodies into this dream right now, and they're also mixing DNAs with different animals and creatures and doing this thing in their laboratory, just like what those ancient ones were doing, those gods and deities and all of them. Science is doing this, but you don't know all the experiments science is doing in their laboratory and all the experiments that have gone wrong, and they have them underneath the in the underworld, under the earth, whole cities down there. So you don't know what they are doing. So science is doing the same thing like what those ones were doing. That's what the gods were doing, making bodies. Because I want to make this clear to you that God cannot create the body by itself. This is why they're always abducting women and doing the in vitro fertilization, like just like what science is doing, because the gods, they have no light. Why are they doing this? Because they themselves, their body run out, and they want to create a new body for themselves, but they have not been successful to do this, because you need light. You need to have light to in yourself to do this. The gods have no light, and so this is why we become their guinea pigs. All right. So they have made bodies, and all of these manufactured babies that they did in their laboratory, they manufactured them in their laboratory. These are all of these, they say that they are their chosen people. So if the gods created this body and you come into it, then you are their chosen people, right? Always creating confusion and separatism, right? Because the gods themselves is in false self-identification and total ignorance of themselves. They are in the supreme ego form. So now, with your knowledge of what science is doing this in the laboratory, right? So those babies that those scientists create, are they going to go worship the scientists now and saying, you are my God, you created me? Because if only you are identifying as this body and this mind, the consciousness, then you can claim that God created you. Because as I did in that video, I will say, please watch the video on self-realization. Because this is the reason why many ones cannot come to self-realization, because they are thinking that God created them and they are the chosen ones and everyone else is not chosen. So this is all false information. Um, the story about the 144,000, I can tell you what this is based off. Many things are based off of truths, but the ones they do not really know and understand what the truth is. So I am going to use this to explain this. So this here is one of those stacking dolls. So when the self, the shattered, fragmented self, Aten-Ra, she's given the destiny to create this world. So we are a baby self. So this is it. She makes a baby of herself. We are the shattered self. So the masculine and the feminine, they make one self here, the feminine, the masculine. But in this duality, they are exploring separately. The feminine explore separately, the masculine aspect of the self explore separately. They are not together. So this is what I have to do with the twin flames. Is your masculine and feminine self is separated. They have to come back together, but it's not your duty or destiny. Sorry about that squeakiness. It's not your destiny to find it. Your destiny is to come awake. After you come awake, it is the self, the soul destiny to do this. It knows where all of itself is. So now to talk about the 144,000, this is the self called the soul. So you see, the self is making so many self. Here it makes another self. It does the same thing, right? Then it makes another self of itself, and they're exploring separately. So you have all the feminine, you have all the masculine, but it all just came from one self called the soul, right? So now it's making a many replicas of itself. What is happening is that there's only, as I don't know if this is the correct number, the self haven't confirmed this with me, but there's only a small amount of the self called the souls that is taking up the human form, but it makes many replicas of itself in a baby form, and all of those selves has to merge back like this. Self has to go back, and then once we do this, all of those selves come back to just to be one self. This is the 144,000. That is the real self. It's not chosen ones. It's only that they are the real selves. So you might see so many selves, but all of them are just clones of one self. Like this is one self called the soul. The soul is making probably, I don't know how many thousands copies of itself. So many ones in the world, they are a clone from this one self. And so it means that there's only, say, 144,000. I don't know if that's the correct number. The self hasn't confirmed it with me. Only the real selves. So that's what it means. There are just a small amount of real selves. Everyone else is a clone of the real selves. And all of the clone selves, they must return back, just like how I showed you this, like that. They they have to return back to be just this one self. That is what they're calling the chosen ones. So it makes all everyone else feel like they are not chosen, but this is not the real and the truth of it, right? It's just that there is the soul that makes the clones, and all the clones must go back into it, just like I showed you with this, right? The same thing, just like I showed you. This is an egg too. All of them have to go back to be that one self that we call the soul. All right. So I know that many ones in religions, they claim that they are the chosen people of God, and depending on which God, as you can see, this has been causing so much confusion. Why? Because, like I said, the gods were doing, they're engineers doing what the same thing science is doing, creating babies in a laboratory. They had their laboratory, they were creating bodies, the human bodies. They cannot create you, the self, because the self can never be created. You came into being as a baby of the real self, right? The body you come into have a destiny to be dissolved when you leave this body. Yourself can never be created and can never die. All right? You just have to come into realization. And so this is what this the truth of what this is, the chosen ones. So know that not one self into this existence will be lost. Every self belongs to a real self. So the ones they are saying, some ones do not have a direct connection to the soul because they are a clone inside of the dream, like I showed you. This is the real self. It makes many clones of itself. In the dream, they do not have a direct connection to the self, only the real self has. So, what's going to happen is that all the clones have to go back into the real self, because the clones, they only rise inside of the dream. This is the difference between the real self and the clone self. The real selves are the ones that will exist. They are the ones they call the 144,000, but all of the clones, they will be dissolved because they are not real selves. They are the ego false self that rise in the dream, and they rise as a duality from the real selves. So all selves will be accounted for, and not one self will be lost. All the selves will merge back into wherever it rises from. Okay? So I hope I have explained. So when you hear someone talking about 144,000, no need to worry, because you already know, if you are going through self-realization, you know that all is myself. All right? Let's talk about this big topic here. Murder in the name of God, right? This is a great atrocity that is happening in the world through war, through blood sacrifices, and all of these things. And this is a great suffering for the self, because ones are crying out, and it's because of the ignorance of the gods why ones are doing this, right? So I already covered who are the chosen ones, the 144,000. Like I say, those are the real self. Those are all the souls. Know that the souls, when you look up in the sky, the stars that you see, they are all suns, but it's because they are at a distance from you and they are hidden. So these are all suns, and they are the sons of all the souls All of the self called the souls in the world, right? So everyone belong to a soul. Everyone, you have a sun up there that is shining, that is making balance for you. The soul is the part of yourself that makes the balance for you. You're in the ego false self, and you must wake up and be your real self called the soul. So when everyone wake up and all of the ego false self are dissolved, they're only going to be only the self, the soul left. So, and I went over who are God's chosen people. I already covered that. Those are those bodies that the gods created. Remember, they cannot do this on their own. They need to abduct women. That is what they have been doing for ages. They have been doing this. The gods have been abducting female, um, pregnating them, mixing their sperm, their DNA into the feminine, and creating new bodies. They cannot create this on their own because they do not have any light. The gods, they have no light. They cannot create the body by themselves. The the self, the soul, and the teacher within can create the body. They are the ones that create the bodies. But the gods, they cannot do this. They can only do genetic engineering with the body. They can do um, in vitro fertilization, like what science are doing, right? Understand this. So only the body they are creating. Only the real self and the soul can create a body from nothing. Yes, all right. They have lights and they are the real. The gods are the dream characters. They are the duality that have been holding us under tyrannical rulership and imprisonment. All right. So know this. And they, what have they have been doing? Making promise of celestial glory. So everyone is doing all of these things for the gods so that they can, when they pass out of this body and leave this body, they're going to go to all to this celestial bliss, and of getting promise of riches in heaven, you know. So you give your soul to God, and He imprison you, and then He promises you riches in heaven and celestial glory, which is all an illusion, because this is not real, right? So the next thing I want to say to everyone is that you want to be now going into yourself and practicing stillness to still this mind, because if you have been coming aware, you will realize that this mind is crazy. This mind have always been crazy, telling you crazy things and coming up with crazy ideas, and many ones are following their crazy mind. The gods, their minds are crazy. Okay? That's why they have been instructing human beings into doing a lot of crazy things. They're brainwashing and mind controlling you because they are the supreme ego, and they have a lot of magnetic energy. They are magnets, they are protons. And so this is why they can control your mind, and when they come into your body, they can just right away put you in a trance and knock you out and put you into sleep. Notice, you ever seen those people in the church jumping up into spirits? You ever seen them jumping into spirits, and you see them doing all of this? You know, the God that does, they call the Holy Spirit, is Saturn, and name is Uriel or something like that. I have to just double check on the name, but it is Saturn is doing this, and the Saturn is feminine, and is the feminine to Allah, Allah is the Tehudi, right? And she goes into people, and and so the all the other gods, when you see the people fall out on the floor, that's what they do. They come and take over the body and they knock them out. That's why they fall, and you see they go into a kind of a sleep, a coma, or whatever, and they might jump up. They cannot stand up because it. This is what, and so this is why they was brainwashing us to telling us that we need to. If you don't get into spirit and get the Holy Ghost, that you're not saved. So this is just playing around with the gods. You don't want to do these things anymore, you know, because it is all a lie. This is not the way that you liberate yourself. Only through stillness of this mind and self-inquiry and dissolving the ego false self. This it is so simple. It is so simple, but it's the hardest thing to do because you have to stand up to this mind. And many ones, they do not want to spend the time to cultivate the mind and train the mind. The mind is the problem. All right. And so this is how they brainwash us and they control us. And the gods, they love this interaction with human way, because remember, they, all is the I self, and it is ourself that is not wearing bodies. We are in a body, because remember, you cannot see yourself. Yourself is animating this body, invisible to the eye. Those gods, they are invisible to the eye. They are the eye. It could be one of your it could be your masculine self, because um you are the if you are the feminine or the masculine in the body. Remember, I showed you with this that you are separated. You might be here. You Some of yourself is in the human body, and some of yourself is not wearing a body. So there could be one of them that is coming on you. They don't know, who they belong to. You don't know that is yourself either. But so this is the reason why you don't want to do this foolishness with them anymore. Those days of them doing this is over, because the I Self Supreme is here to restore balance to the I Self and to bring truth, and everything that have been kept a secret will be unveiled. It will be known. Everything that is hidden will be revealed. So no secrets will be kept from us anymore. Everything, if you want to know it, you will know it. Right? And so they have been giving us, brainwashing us, giving us false information because they don't know the truth and their mind is crazy and sick. So this is why they have been doing this blood atonement, blood sacrifice, and human sacrifice and animal sacrifice. Notice every time someone wants to do something, they have to do some kind of sacrifice. This is has been going on. This has been going on forever. I pay attention to a lot of the stories, and I know all of those celebrities who has been sacrificed. I know all of them who has been sacrificed. You know what I'm saying? So um they're constantly, all of those people, they are doing witchery, wizardry, you know. Um, the witches and the wizards, they have completely taken over. The last couples of years, if you watching America's Got Talent, all of those people are coming on there doing witchery on there. Those magicians and those people coming on there and chanting, calling for the devil to come on the stage. I mean, I literally saw them doing that. So everybody now is into this, and they wanted to make it known now that everybody should be doing this. This is why so many ones and young children are disappearing. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the craziness of the gods them. So the time has come now when you need to stop listening to those false teachers, gurus, pastors, false messengers, false prophets, and false information. The gods them have been giving us false information, And all of those gurus and pastors and teachers have been given false information because their mind is confusing them and they do not know. There is some truth into everything. There is a little truth in it, but the mind confuses one and make it very difficult to dissect the truth. So the best thing to do is to still this mind and just keep inquiring within the I self and know that this mind is always going to see you as its enemy. And so you have to be inquiring into this mind constantly so that you know when a thought arises, you know where this thought is rising from. All right. So I want you to be vigilant with this mind. Okay. And don't let them trick you and don't be afraid. Fear is the next mind control that they are using, and they are going because right now they are promoting this rapture thing, talking about people gonna be raptured and you got to give your soul. They're trying to scare people, um, and they because they're doing a lot of holographs and things like that. Just be mindful when you see something that you don't know if they are sending an holograph because they want to control the minds of one. This is why the AI, the AI. I want to tell you something about the AI. What they're doing, they're using the consciousness, um, the protons, to build the AIs. This is why the it is so smart because these particles are everywhere you can find, and they're using the protons. The protons is the magnets, and it is the consciousness and it is the mind. So this is what the AI is, and it wants to take over the mind of all human beings. This way, it's one central mind where they can program everything into you, and you have no resistance. But the I Self Supreme is not going to let this happen. They think that it's going to happen, but the I Self Supreme is not going to let this happen. The I Self Supreme, I don't know how long it's all going to take, but they have a lot of things planned to imprison us more than how we have been imprisoned. But the I Self Supreme is here, and they cannot win over the I Self Supreme. So I'm saying this to say, do not be afraid, because you must say, all is myself. All of those ones planning, they are yourself. They are the I in ignorance, and they don't know. So they are trying to think that they can shoot some rocket up and destroy the dome that is covered here, but they cannot do this. The I Self Supreme is here to dissolve this dream and to wake up all the I Self so that they can be balanced and to restore us and to bring us to non duality before everything is finally being dissolved. All right? So there's no need to fear. We are going to be in a better place than we have ever been thinking about, that we want to create bliss and create happiness. It can never happen into this duality. This is why the I Self Supreme is here to return us to non-duality, and then finally to dissolve all of these duality creation. And they must be dissolved. All right. So if all is myself and if you're in command, there is no need for you to fear. Only the ego has fear. Remember this. Don't let what they're telling you about what God is, and they are more chosen than anyone else, because this has been the problem for war always. One group is saying, oh, we're choosing, next one is, oh, and they're looking at everyone else as the ones that are not chosen. And as for the ones who has been oppressing others and holding ones as slavery in here, because they know that what is about to happen and they cannot stop it. All right. So this page, I want to talk about differentiating the supreme ego traits from the I real self, because they have been spreading propaganda and false narrative. This is why I want to be able to identify what is from the real, the I self, then differentiating it from the supreme ego. Because remember, they are all in the ego false self, and the supreme ego is the one that rules and governs the world. The supreme ego is the first God of this world. Yes, God is creating this world because God is the duality self. But God is not the real and is not the truth. So this is what is confusing ones. God created the world because God is a duality and God is sleeping and dreaming. God is the supreme ego, right? But God is the I that is in the sleeping, dreaming state and do not remember and know itself, because it all of the gods, they will tell you that they are mind. They will tell you that they are the mind, because they have no connection with their self. This is why many ones, they're only stuck into the mind intelligence and not the self intelligence. All of this culture have always been promoting the mind intelligence. Like myself, I am the self intelligence. This is why I know these things. I am not the mind intelligence because this is a duality mind and it does not work well for me. Sometimes I can't even remember a lot of things. Sometimes I can't even find words to say the things I want to say because the mind is fighting against me. It sees me as its enemy because I am awake in the dream and it does not want me to use the mind. It wants to take the mind away from me and bring it back onto itself. It does this all the time. It takes the consciousness and it pulls it back onto itself so that I won't be able to use it into this duality world. And so the self has to be fighting with the consciousness and any of the dualities that comes into this body to get the consciousness back. You don't know what any of my days are like to deal with the dualities every day for the past 4 years, every day, non-stop. There is not one day that I am not fighting, that they are not fighting me, I should say, beating me up, doing all kind of crazy things. All right. And so this is why I know these things, because they come to me and and I get to learn. I get to learn about all of the gods and I get to learn about all of the I self. Um, get to learn about all the I self in the real self and in the duality ego false self. So the supreme ego traits, they always, you see, God says, if you read any of those books, they say, I am a jealous God and I'm revengeful, all of these things. This is the supreme ego traits. The real self is have no jealousy, no revenge for any of itself in ignorance doing bad things, right? The the supreme ego traits, jealousy. They're revengeful. If you do something, God always wants to punish you. They're bias and prejudice. They are the one that is causing the bias and prejudice in the world and the separatism. The gods are doing this. All of these duality, they are doing this. They use fear to control others. These are all the supreme ego traits. Use punishment and violence to control others. This is what the gods do. When they come in this body and they want me to do something and I don't do what they want, they beat me up. So someone will tell you this, that they used to say, oh, the ancestors would come and beat them. Like many years ago, but I did not understand it. They would come and beat me up. I'm crying. And I'm saying, why are who's beating me? But I did not know. I did not know who was beating me up. But it's after I come into full realization of them, that's when they are the magnetic energy, and they can hurt you really bad. They put their magnets into you, and they make you crazy, and all of these things. And so this is why sometimes when you see ones are going crazy, like I see so many ones sometimes running in the street, doing certain things. The gods, they are possessed by one of them, and they're using their magnetic power, beating you up and pushing the magnets into your body and making you very cold too. That's the other thing they do. They can make you very, very cold. And so they love to give punishment because they sit as a judge over us, judging us all the time. Um, and they are the ones that are doing the most evil. And they don't want to be punished, because I ask them that all the time. Do you love to give punishment? Why don't you, why do you want to be punished? See, this one is just answering me no. So, and so they make promises to you when you give your soul to them, and when you go out and get others, like they will have you to go to do blood sacrifices. So that means that you have to get one, that you have to murder them, then, or you have to do get children that they can do ritual with. And the sodomy, you get the people to come, so that the gods them can come and go into the everybody and take their soul and take your energy. So you become, uh what's the word, well, a sales like a salesperson for them. And then they promise you treasures, like they will make sure that you get stuff in the world. You have riches and all these things when you do these things for them. When I was traveling to Mexico, I met many witches. I'm telling you, I did not know this thing was so prominent, because I live a very like quiet, secluded um life, into this duality. And so there are a lot of things that I did not know. And so, but is when during my experience, when I went there, there's so many witches and wizards. And so they think that they can take my soul, because they're on a mission for these gods. And so when they come now and they realize that I am too powerful for them, they cannot imprison my soul. So they come in the night to battle with me. And so this is what they do. And so while I was in traveling around to Mexico, I was meeting many ones who was having these problems. And so I would just take the gods off of them, not me myself taking it off of them, but the I self supreme take the gods off of them and relieve them of their suffering. And so they know that I wasn't pretending, that I was for real. And so this is was my experience going through there. Was very surprised at the amount of rituals, because when I went to one of the ancient sites, the Mayan ruins, I had a reflection of myself. One of my avatar was buried there. And when I went in there, I remembered all the sacrifices. They sacrificed like thousands of people. And I just started crying, crying, crying. And I couldn't stop crying. I was walking and I'm walking around, And I was just, the tears, I mean, I could not stop myself. I was so overwhelmed. And I had to balance all of those energies that was trapped there, um, from all of those self and souls that was stuck. There was many of them that was still stuck there, from the blood sacrifice. And so these are just wrong things, and this is all because the gods are influencing ones to do these things. And and so I'm just wanting to encourage, and I understand why many ones were doing this, because if someone doesn't like you, or they just come because they're working for the gods, and you don't know that they're doing this. They come in the night, like you meet someone, you're talking to them, you think they're even your friend. In the night, when you go to rest, they come in the night to steal your soul, and to control you. This is the things that they do in the night. And I could not believe this, the things I'm learning, all the things that ones are doing. So then that person now feel sick and all of these things on them. So they have to go find a um what are they shaman. So like when I was there, there's so many shamans. So they no, you have to find a shaman. No, they're calling no on a different god to take this spirit off of you that person put on you. So this is the reason why it was never ending. Everyone was doing this witchery because everyone believed in it, and so they were always calling up one of these gods to go harm others, or they were working as a recruiter for the gods. So this one guy that I actually stayed at his house, um, when I was traveling through, and he was one of those person that was would make events, and people would come, and he would get them ecstatic, so that the gods them would come and play around with everyone, because they can play around with you and touch you and make you have an orgasm, because they need your energy, they need your light. This is how they was feeding off of you. All of those spiritual people who are holding spiritual thing, this is what they're doing. They're calling on those gods, ayahuasca ceremony, all of those things. When the gods them come and they take your soul, and everybody feel this feeling like a bliss feeling. That's why everyone was searching for bliss, because what they do is they can touch a point on you, and they put you into in an ecstatic state, so that they can harness your energy, because they have done it to me. So I know all of the things that they do, but you don't know that's what you're doing. Whatever you're doing, you're chanting, and whatever the chant that they give you to say, you know, to do that. And so this practice must be done now. The I Self Supreme said no one needs to do any of these things anymore, because the I Self Supreme is here to protect all of itself. So if you are feeling like you need a protection, you seek refuge in your I Self Supreme. Or you say the Asoham vibration, and you will feel the Asoham um, start making coming the vibration getting stronger on you, and start alleviating whatever that was on you. So the also hum is a very good vibration to do, and the pulling the mind out of the head and bringing it into the center of the chest. So just in case you are feeling lethargic, feeling weak, and just you've just a low energy, because one of the things that the gods they do, when you start meditating, you start breaking up that magnetic energy that they is cocoon around you by the mind, and you start producing electricity, and you'll see that they start coming to you, possessing your mind and giving you all different kind of thoughts, This is why many ones, when you see them talking about God, or you see they're homosexuals, because the gods come and fill them with homosexual thoughts and show them imagery of homosexual act. This is why, many ones, that's why the book, the Kama Sutra, was written, because of the gods. They are the ones doing this. They're at the root of every evil because their mind is so sick. So the supreme ego traits, always they're seeking bliss from their mental torment. So the gods are seeking bliss from their mental torment. This is why they need you to do those rituals. And so the human beings are seeking bliss because God told them that they need bliss. But it's the gods who need bliss because they have no light. You have access to your soul. So this is why they want human beings to get the soul, to get your energy. They are yourself in ignorance. Don't connect with them because they are the supreme ego. The real self sleeps, and now the false, the fake self rise up. That is not you. The fake self is not you, right? So stop identifying with that fake self. The supreme ego traits say, I am your God and you should bow down and serve me. The I self supreme will never say that. There is no serving that you need to serve anyone and be a slave and master. With the I self supreme, all of the self have is very important. All of the self is a link in the chain of self and has a role to play. Every self is important because you have a role to play in your self balance, but not with the gods. They take over. They want full control and take over, and for you to serve them and worship them. Supreme ego traits. So when you know these traits, and when you hear someone talking about this thing, listen to those teacher, preacher, guru, listen to them, and you know that they are telling you wrong information. The supreme ego creates heaven and hell. You should ask God, why do you create heaven and hell? They created this. God created heaven and hell because God loved to punish. Him love prejudice and separatism. When you pass out of this body, if you have lived your life doing horrible things, you go to hell to be with the devil and Satan, because it is just like how the world is right now. You have the elite, you have the people with the money, and everybody is separated. So they're in their own clique, you know? So this is how the underworld is. So whichever God your is your slave master, that's who you go and hang out with, and he protects you from all of the other gods and the devil and Satan, right? So that they cannot steal your soul because he already have it and he defend it, because the more souls they have is the more powerful they are. That's why the devil, Satan, Jesus, Allah, they are the more powerful ones because they have the most souls. And actually, Jesus, Allah, and Set, the devil, is the same. Is the devil playing Jesus and Allah? Playing those two roles. Know this truth. All right. So they are the gods. Them appoint themselves as judge over others, and especially over us wearing bodies. They appoint themselves as judge so that they can judge us and give us punishment. These are all the supreme ego traits. They are the supreme ego. The narcissist is all about them only what they want, and they trick you and give you, because you're calling them, God give me this, God give me that, God give me this, God give me that. Stop begging and take command and manifest. Your mind can manifest the things that you want. So you Tell this mind, I command you, and you write it down and you tell your mind, you don't need to call on God to do this. Your mind is equipped to manifest whatever you want, but you have to take command because the mind is fighting against you. So you don't need to make an alliance with any of these duality gods. Just need to make alliance with the I self. Now, look at the traits of the I self. The I self is always seeking for self alignment. There's never any jealousy, never any separatism. The self, when the self comes to you, you say, who are you? I am you. When the gods they come, they say, I am God. I am your master. I am your Lord. The self never says that. The self is always saying, I am you. The traits of the I real self is that you are light, primal light. These gods, they have no light. They are the darkness. They are devoid of light. This is the real self. When they steal your soul, they use you for their light. That's why when they come to you, they trick you with your own soul that they're using for their light. And they trick you. Right? The traits of the I real self is non-being, stillness, unmanifest, formless. I know I spelled those words wrong. I could not see because let me tell you what they do sometimes. Today, the whole day, I was in a battle with this duality, and it was blurring all my visions, so I could not see when I was typing these. That's why I always type what I want to say, because sometimes I can't remember when I am talking sometimes the main points. And so also that you can also see it, so you can come back to the video and see the words yourself. So formless, timeless, limitless, boundless. This is the trait of the I real self. The gods are going to tell you that they're going to burn you in hell because you have forgotten yourself and that you're not. You have forgotten that you are timeless, limitless, boundless. Your real self is the sun itself, so it cannot be burned. It's only this body they're threatening you because you're thinking that you are the body. So the body will burn and you feel the suffering and the pain of this. But the I real self is a sun. So the sun, the sun is the sun, so it's not afraid of fire and brimstone. Because you are the sun, that's the real self. Only the body. So if you stop identifying with the body, there's no need for you to be afraid of God burning you in hell and fire and brimstone. It's just fear tactics so that they can get your soul and imprison you. You can willingly get it. Because when I asked Jesus, why does he steal other souls? And would he like this done to him? He says no. He says, I don't steal anyone's soul. Everyone is calling me and giving it to me. So I'm telling you to stop calling on Jesus, because Jesus is a duality. He's very powerful. God. Why? Because uno call him and uno give him uno soul. Right? Okay, let me not do patois. Let me go back to English. Sorry. Sorry. So you guys are calling on Jesus, giving Jesus your soul, and you're making Jesus more powerful, and you are losing your power. You're becoming dependent on God. God, give me this, God, give me that, when you have the power to manifest it yourself. All right. Jesus said, when Jesus came awake, he actually came and apologized to me. He came and apologized. And let me tell you something. He was the only one out of all of the duality one that apologized to me, because he had so many souls that he was coming into more awareness. His mind was not so crazy. This was why he could instruct others and telling them don't do certain things, because he knew that he knew everything what the gods them doing, the other gods with their mind sickness would do. Like some of the gods, where their mind is not so crazy, they will tell ones, like, don't do this, don't eat this, like, Allah was telling ones to, do certain things. Some of them will tell you, will guide you on like something, but they still imprison the soul. They try, even though they're telling you as here, but they're not telling you how to not have yourself be in prison and being a slave. You now your real self become a slave, so you will never be able to come into your real self if any of the gods have your soul. So you don't want to call on them, even though some of them, their mind was not as crazy as the other ones, and they did tell someone some things, like not to do some things because some things was wrong and not to do it, but they imprison your soul, and so you will never be able to be yourself and come into truth that they are you will be serving them and worshiping them. All right. So, but he did say, say that to me, that he did not steal anyone's soul, everyone was calling, because one of the things that if you create a god, any one of those dualities will come and play the role of it. They like to um, impersonate. So if they see that, or say for myself now, um, if ones are calling an asset, right? And asset is they will show up and pretend to be asset, because no, so many ones are calling an asset. So this is what they do, and so this is why they're tricksters. So, but Jesus was very charismatic. He was so charismatic and smooth. I'm telling you, I was like, and he like had a smirk, because I was saying, when the bean came on me, I was saying, it's like I know this bean, but I just can't don't know who it is. So I said, who are you? And he says that he's Jesus. Yeah. And so, okay, because I spend many lifetimes, with many of these gods. So some of them, they will come and I will know them, but I just don't know who they are. I will get like a memory, something. And so, but he wants you to know that to not call on him, because when he sleeps, he has no awareness, and it's the supreme ego that takes over. And this is when all of them do bad things. So don't call on any of those dualities, right? I know many ones love them. They are yourself, but they are supreme ego. Just denounce all ties to all of these characters, right? So the traits of the I real self will say, all is myself, right? All is myself. I am one with all. There is only one truth. The I self will tell you this, while the gods will tell you there are many truths and many things. The self will make you know that there's only one truth, and it's only the self truth. Everything else is an imagination creation. You have to remember that this world is being created into the mind of God. God is creating this world in his mind, and sleeping and dreaming of the world using its imagination. So nothing is real. Only the self, that is the one truth. Everything else is a dream, and it is not the real. All right? So you must remember this. The traits of the I real self, only one self exists. You might see all of these self, like I was just showing you this. And with all the self is making all of these replicas of itself, and all of them must go back to being this one self, right? All the self must go back to being one self. The self is making replicas and only one self exists. Singular, one self. All right? So just try to remember that. The traits of the I real self is that I am one with all is myself, and all of myself will return back onto me. It's not where I am separated, and the self, I self supreme, is going to gather all of itself back into itself. And remember, like I said in the beginning, and only the real selves will be awake. All of the self that rise in the dream, because remember, if you rise in the dream, you are a what? You're a clone. So all of the clones, they are not the real self. They will be dissolved into the real self, and only the real self will exist, and they are going to be within the I self. The self is going to just pick up, get all of itself, and carry all of itself within itself. Um, I really do not know how this is all going to outplay, if the self is going to move us, and while this world is being dissolved, I have no idea how the process is, but the self wants, the I self supreme want everyone to know that all things that is hidden will be made known, all things done in secret will be revealed. So don't try to do evil things, try to call on God to go harm others, to do, be a witch, be a wizard, voodoo, all of those things are all witchery. Um, so just don't do it, you know? Just do self inquiry, come into self realization, do your affirmation. All is myself. I take command. I am in command. All right. All things created must be destroyed. Many ones are so attached to the dream world, they are afraid of this world to be destroyed. This world is a dream. You must keep saying this so you can come into this realization. We have been trapped and been a prisoner inside of a dream. The I Self Supreme is here to destroy this world. I know many ones are saying that the world is not going to be destroyed, but it is duality, so it have to be destroyed. All of the existence that is not in a material form, it is already returning to non-duality. It's already, the selves are waking up. It's just this world. This is the world that is in a physical form. Everything else is not in a physical form that goes beyond this world. It is some what science call, it's in the self, but science have different name that they call different aspect of it. Plasma. I don't even know all the names science call, but I know it. I know all of it as the I self, and I know which selves are playing them. All right. So all of those selves, they are waking up. The biggest part is going to be here into the world that we are in, that this world has to be destroyed. No sense in holding on to it. Our Self Supreme has prepared a place for us, prepared all the ways for us. There's no need to hold on to this dream. This is a dream. This world is a dream. It has to be destroyed. Lose attachment to the dream and work so that you will have awareness. You will be into the I Self Supreme carrying you, and you can see exactly what is happening. You will have the awareness, right? You just ask the I Self Supreme that I want to be in awareness, because I asked the self, I said, I want to have awareness. I want to see what is happening. I want to see all of these things. So the I Self Supreme is going to allow us, if you remove this ego false self, you can see exactly what's happening, that you're going to be being carried by your mom, your parent self, there is no need for you to be fear. And you will be able to see what is happening to this dream. It has to be destroyed. Look at the craziness that's going on in the world. Look at the sickness of the many ones, the mind, how sick they are. Do you want people to be in suffering? Do you know that the gods, they are in suffering? Why you think they're doing all of these, enslaving the souls and doing all of these crazy things? They are in suffering. They want relief from their mental sickness. When I met Seth, Seth is known as the devil, right? When I met Seth, he's the one that makes people do a lot of crazy things, blood sacrifice and lots of rape, lots of sodomy. That's all he does, right? And when he came, and because he was the one that was battling with me the most, and I asked the self to give him a new consciousness, and so his mind was so crazy, and so I saw how how Ra does it. She goes to sleep and she dreams up and she take the consciousness and she comes with it in her hand. This is even how when she gave me a new consciousness, I saw how she did it. And then she came and she put it on here, So she gave him a new consciousness. It's still the duality consciousness, but it wasn't he wasn't having the trauma, the suffering that he was having. He was in pain. So this is why he's doing all of those crazy things. So know that all the gods, all of those dualities, they are suffering just as we are suffering. This is why they have been making us suffer more, because they hate us, because we have a light, we have the power, we have the thing that they want, the light. They don't have it. And so this is why they have been tricking us to get the light. So it is time for self-responsible authority. You must take self-responsible responsibility for yourself. It is time for you to do this now, right? Stop depending on God. Stop calling on Jesus. Stop calling on Allah. Stop calling on Krishna. Krishna fought me. Krishna fought me a lot. And I must say that Jesus didn't fight me so much. He just because his thing, he wanted to take over the world and he wanted to enslave. He wanted to get Aten Ra. That was the problem. And so his thing was, he knew that Aten Ra was gonna come to visit me. And so he was staking out for when she comes that he was gonna take over the world. Because once if he can enslave Aten Ra, because she's the one that has to dissolve the world, and that means he can take over and reign supreme over everyone, and no one can have any escape. But of course, that didn't happen, and so he didn't really fight me so much as all the other gods did, because his mission was to get Aten Ra. So he was fighting Aten Ra. Yeah. So, but Krishna, Amen, Set, Tahuti, which is Allah, oh my God, they fought me like crazy. Archangel Michael, because Set went and get Archangel Michael and all of them, and they all came to fight me all at once. All right. So I'm just sharing this story because all things that's hidden will be made known, and I'm sharing this to just let you know that this is what the gods them do. I am just demystifying the gods them, so that you can know the truth. And many ones they have tortured, but they are afraid to speak. But soon you'll see, soon more ones will get the courage to speak and share their story, because the time has come when we must share our story so that because I already advocate for all the selves and that all the gods and everyone that have done these horrible atrocities, they must be able to come into awareness to see the evil that they have done. I want for everyone to see this, to see what they have done, all because of this crazy mind that this world will be dissolved and this world will never be created again. Because I know many ones are even saying that when the world get dissolved, this duality will be created never again. All right? All will be dissolved. So your spells and your talisman, your gods will no longer protect you. All evil doings must stop. This is the message from the I Self Supreme, one true self. All will be dissolved. So, what is your power? Yourself, the soul. Because remember, what was given the gods their power? The self, the soul. Your power lies in your soul. Be yourself. Be your soul self. This is your power. When you are being this, why you think I am being this power that I am? Because I did this. I am now the self soul. I am not a spirit sleeping in the body. No, I am the soul self in the body right now. So this is why no one can ever come and steal my soul and put me under spells and do all of these things. They cannot. They believe me, they are trying all the time. I meet ones are trying because they're wondering why I'm so powerful and they want to take my power. And they're trying all the time to do this, but they cannot do this. So that's why I'm telling you that your power lies in your soul. Don't give it away. Be yourself. All right? Because all will be dissolved. So just want to quickly just run over why is the consciousness like this? Why is the consciousness in duality? So so like like I said that the consciousness is governing everyone because everyone is wearing a replica of this consciousness. Why? Because the consciousness is sick and it's sleeping and dreaming. So this is the reason why you want to just be yourself, right? The consciousness is in duality because the I Self Supreme wanted to create a duality world because the I was curious, wanting to know why, what would happen if the I went to sleep. And so this is what the I went to sleep, and this all of these things happen. The ego rise up, the ego false self rises, and it's been a struggle to dissolve it. So this is all right. So just quickly to remember that the mind of is the mind of Ra is the consciousness that rules and governs the world. Aten Ra is the one that balances the world. All right. So just remember that. So is Ra and Aten Ra. Remember the ego, the false self is the self that everyone is in. And so you want to give up the ego false self. All right. So I want you to remember that Ra is sleeping and their mind is dreaming. Just like you in the self is sleeping, I want you to remember that you must wake up. Ra has to wake up um, to end the dream. Her mind, the consciousness, has to wake up also. All right. So remember that all is the I self, and Each of the self is inside of each other. All of the gods, they are magnetic. The real self, they are electromagnetic. The real self is the screen on which the duality existence is being played out. All right? So, just to reiterate that all things created must come to an end. So, where do we go from here? All right? So, do you want to continue to be a prisoner inside of a dream? Or do you desire to be the real and not the dream? What do you desire? So if you want to know the truth, then it is time for God to be dissolved, and you must castrate this ego false self and wake up. And you must remember that all is myself, and I am one with all. I mean, all of these things I went over already, so I am not like reading them out. So I want to thank the I. Thank you very much for joining I today. I don't know if you have a question. I can I can answer any question. Um, there was I think someone wanted to know how the self is for the different um part of the existence. So um, for for the for the different parts of the existence, that remember that all of it, the the galaxy, the realm, the cosmos, it is all the self. It is all the I self. So this is what that I must remember, that every aspect of the world, every aspect of this duality is the I self. So just remember this. And just for this week, I want you to affirm within the I self, I am in command, right? All is myself. All is myself, right? I want you to do this. All is myself. I am one with all. I want you to do this because the more you affirm this within yourself, the more you'll be able to have confidence in yourself. Alrighty? So I thank you so much. I will see you soon. Also, I am going to start doing some, maybe tomorrow morning, a couple mornings, to do some healing sound. I want to do it with the singing bowls. I tried it sometimes, but the program, it kind of distort the sound, and when I re-listen, it doesn't sound balanced. So I am going to try tomorrow to see how the sound, the singing bowls will be. I just keep hearing some imbalanced noise. So I guess I will try it. And you guys can let me know if you listen and the sound imbalanced. Because sometimes I re-listen and it doesn't sound balanced because of how it's being recorded with the in the software. It have something that kind of drown out the sound. I don't know what that thing is that does that. So thank you so much. I am Primal Lights, prepared for the world in this shattered, fragmented self, wearing this body, this avatar as our set, Art and Ra. Much honor to the I and I. Thank you. I bow to I in self, in light, and in truth. Hail, hail to all the I and I selves. So, because I want to try to see if I could do like a live, like just some affirmations and chanting. So we'll see how that goes. And then you can give me some feedback. Thank you so much.